Oh, no.
Lynx, Hecky Thump, what's wrong, Grandad? Don't you want a kebab from that takeaway booth?
That's no takeaway booth, you wet wipe. That's a Suntaran scout ship. A Suntaran experiment.
Massive quandary for Doctor Who fans this. Having supported, loved and watched a small-time British sci-fi show since its inception in the 1960s, boxing above its weight because of its pioneering, imaginative stories and production values, do we resist the use of AI in Blu-ray collections of Doctor Who, and or the use of AI in future Doctor Who productions? This is certainly one where I see no sitting on the fence out there.
Women, overshut the fool up.
So my big question today is, and I give my thoughts first, then you'll hear a range of my favourite Sensesphere panellists sharing their thoughts following that. As tech is improving, should we use it sparingly in Doctor Who, or should we go full AI in the future? I sense a Sensesphere debate coming on.
An horrible thing. What was it?
Yeah, shut up.
Now, my good old media insider source joined the debate while happily texting me the other day. I've kept out of this debate partly because I felt my old eyes are not even noticing the things everyone else has observed, dissected and been triggered by. But you can see here, my source, he was troubled by it. They've used AI in the box set. God, it looks bad. The Dalek trailer looks like AI too. You can see the eye stalks and stuff look different. But, you know, he's a media insider. He knows AI. He knows how to use it. He uses a whole range of production values and budget and everything. He's shocked. So an insider being shocked. So I know fans, we can sometimes be triggered by certain things, but to see a media insider calling it bad, calling it out, did make me prick up my ears again, going, hold on a minute. Yeah, let me get my specs on and let me have a look at really what is going on here.
Don't you think she looks tired?
I might be blind sometimes, but however, when I see certain screenshots, even if I've not noticed them on the Blu-ray myself, shall we just leave the plastic look to the Autons, shall we? I mean, Morgus here, that does look bad. I'll grant you that one.
Morgus, I can't thank you enough. My greatest boon ever bestowed on humanity. That is why this war must be brought to a conclusion.
One honourable way, sir. Shallus Jack must be crushed.
In endeavouring to make the picture sharper, more detailed, are we falling into making it look like plastic character options set to animation? What some people call AI slop.
Leave the girl. It's the man I want.
Hand on heart, I've not watched my season 13 Blu-ray yet, and only Warriors of the Deep from season 21. So some observations I am not personally aware of, like Colin's apparent strange eyes in The Twin Dilemma.
What was that?
I think we should find out.
Or Divison not quite seeming himself.
Is this death?
Or in season 13, the Duke of Argyll shape-shifting before your eyes. The debate has been re-energized by knowledge of what the great divider in fandom, RTD himself, said only 2 years ago about the use of CGI and AI. Remember? He said, I think we should recreate all the Doctors with CGI. A CGI William Hartnell, the very first Doctor. Imagine that. It will be amazing. One day we can do anything. My question, morally and ethically, is, doesn't mean you should.
That Brendan really knows his stuff.
That argument applies to weaponry, nuclear, the lot. You know this argument. Ethics is about, yes, you could possibly do it, but should you? And for all our love of the first Doctor as an example, just because some software can try to reproduce his speech mannerisms and his facial expressions and his body movement, you're not bringing him back. And there's a reality check that I think fans and humanity need to take, that ultimately, if you've enjoyed that character, embrace that character in your memory and in your heart, but you can't bring them back. It's the same as a relative who's passed. We all need to grow up a little bit, I personally find, on this one. So RTD, I'm not on the fence on that at all. I just don't, I dislike bringing back anybody who's passed. They've gone. You've got to get over it. There's no other way around it. Sorry. It's a hard, difficult moment. Now, this comment compounded with his Instagram comment of amazing for what some fans found a bit of an inaccurate AI parody of behind the scenes in Hartnell's era, has got many fans online fearing for the future if this is this use of AI is seen as amazing by RTD. You can see here, pretending he's behind the scenes. You can see apparently the TARDIS set. You can see apparently a Dalek in the background, William Hartnell, Barbara, etc. You can see a TARDIS we don't recognize because, of course, AI does its own version of the TARDIS. And so, of course, this falls into that kind of feeling, RTD, you've gone too far with Doctor Who and you give me the wrong vibes. However, I will be fair on this one as well. Was RTD just being supportive in a one-word utterance? Was he just, as the showrunner, was he just trying to pass support and love, as they tend to call it? Was RTD just making a quick, instant, provocative text meant to incite the fans? We know he likes to do that.
There's a punchiness to Russell's writing.
I am fighting a battle.
It's like he's taking the guardrails off.
He certainly got that instant effect in some quarters, as you can read here. Doctor Who fans aren't finding Russell T Davies' AI love too amazing. The big AI backlash conflated with the big RTD backlash seems to be in play here.
Astronomically exciting.
Some fans have understood what was maybe going on. You can see the Mid-Journeymen. Doctor Who has always used new tech to tell the stories. Doctor Who has always maximised its budget using new and efficient tech. Fans are going to have to get used to AI being used. And Guy Lambert here senses a possible unfair pile-on. You can dislike or criticise these last 2 seasons of Doctor Who, but basically what he's saying is give the man a break. But we've all seen the petitions now for no more AI in Blu-ray collections. The plan might have been to add sharpness for 4K TVs, to do faster and cheaper restoration, to revive archive content, and maybe future-proof the shows for even higher resolution TVs in the future. But it's not washing with many fans. Like I say, you will hear from a range of our Sensosphere panellists in only a moment. Too many seem to dislike the artificial, inconsistent, waxy look, think it takes away some authenticity, and that it is not really true restoration as we know it. With the Doctor Who drama TV show having lost the big budget funding of Disney and still desperately looking for a streamer, is AI a possible way of presenting VFX in a small budget way? I certainly am most resistant to reviving long past classic Doctors in an AI format. If you can't revive the actual person, let the dead rest and create new characters and new memories. Don't go grave robbing to create some faux nostalgic kick for the fans. AI can do that, but ethically, I do not think it should. Anyway, if you've not liked or subscribed so far, get your AI to do it. over to my sense for your friends, full of sense and passion. Enjoy.
I've just come from watching a couple of the culprits in the Blu-ray AIs and AI upscales, I guess. And I just watched Terror of the Zygon episode 1 and the Android Invasion episode 1. And I've been watching the controversy on social media. I've been looking very hard at what I'm seeing, and I'm struggling to see what everyone's talking about. It's easy to get, fuzzy kind of pictures and distorted pictures when you freeze frame something and screenshot it. But I think I can see something about what they're talking about. But if I was just watching it casually, I wouldn't even notice myself. So this whole controversy to me hasn't really been affecting me that much. I haven't got my season 21 box set yet. I should be getting that any day now, but I'll check that out and see what I think of that too. But it's an interesting discussion, as all Doctor Who related discussions are, but not something that has overly bothered me.
I know, Jeremy, I've got a Mark of the Rani moment. Are we all Luddites?
Well, the difficulty, of course, is when AI is applied to an old television program, in the background, if it can't quite clearly see what it's interpreting, it will interpret something. So it will add in something. So, for instance, if you've got a soldier in the background with a gun, it can't quite make it out what it is. So, when you look at it, the soldier's got 6 fingers on one hand.
Yeah.
So that's where it goes wrong. But the only way that you can sort that out is you've got somebody that's got to eyeball it and identify where the AI program is going wrong. So if it's judiciously applied, there's going to be a problem.
And I sense this is a cost-effective measure of using software.
Yeah.
So we're not.
Yeah.
We're wanting things to be cheaper. The BBC and everybody is. So it's not necessarily going to have everybody eyeballing every frame. I know.
Yeah. Well, you've really got to have somebody who's got to eyeball it on every different scene. In the same way that, if you're going to have a clean title sequence and then you're going to overlay new words, you can't have the spelling of Peter Davison to be Peter Davidson with a D in it, because when it goes out commercially, it's too late. You've then got to have replacement discs, which is a pain.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing for the fans as well, because this is the one chance where you've got to get it 100% right. It can't be just 99% right. It's not like a DVD. This is the best media that this TV program can go on to, which is Blu-ray.
I've been trying to work out why they're actually doing it at all. I mean, I kind of speculated it was because certain people have 4K TVs, the future TV sharpness, are they future-proofing the Blu-rays? I don't know. What do you think, Dan? I mean, where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I think we are experiencing a bit of Luddite attitudes at the moment, because the reality is we're very lucky to have our favorite programs that are 40 to 50 years old now getting this sort of treatment, and the amount of work that's got to go into restoring some of these programs is pretty significant. So obviously everything's got to be done with some sort of cost benefit analysis. But I'm with Dwayne. When I watched the box sets previously, I must admit I've had some of the earlier box sets with the with the nature of the video and the footage conversion. It's grainy, and the AI does help take the footage to the I think to most viewers it does lift it to work better on modern 4K TVs. Let's just face it. It's our programs look great when they were restored on DVD on the good old-fashioned CRT televisions, but it doesn't really stack up that well on modern 4K without some assistance. And I think that's just where we're at. And when CGI graphics was new, it was pretty crap back then too. I mean, even 2005 Doctor Who CGI looks pretty crap by today's standards. So I think, beating up the restoration team and carrying on that we're going to boycott our box sets, I think is a bit over the top.
Bag on this one. AI is going to be here to stay. It's not going away, but at the same time, it's an operating system. So my thing is making sure that they're using the operation properly to do restoration, especially on restoration on film and videotape that may have degraded over time. So that's my mixed bag feeling of it. Is it's gonna be here forever, but also at the same time making sure that we're using it in the best way, and making sure that the system operations of the prompts are proper, and that we're getting all the kinks out of the system.
Now we've got Garbage Who AI here, as in David. David, obviously your channel is all about AI. I love using your AI. Where do you stand on this?
In 2 years, we've come a huge, long way with AI. We still see things, even on the BBC the other day, they were saying things like, oh, you can see it's AI because of their hands. That was like from a year ago, we had issues with hands with AI. There are even apps within the AI programs to fix hands if there's an issue. We're at a point now where almost anything and everything can be done with AI, but it depends on the prompts, it depends on the quality, it depends on the determination of the people to get it correct and right and have the time spending on it to get the scene correct. Seeing the figures at the moment for the classics, they do seem a bit off, and they seem obviously off, and that is off-putting. I'm quite happy with AI at the moment for special effects, things like that. But for humans at the moment, the technology is there, but people have still got to accept it, and people really aren't accepting AI at the moment because they have seen it start from the beginning, seen it be rubbish, and they think that is it, even though it is evolving. So for me, AI, yes, but it's still a bit too early.
I think it's a mixed bag. I tend to agree with both Michelle and David. This is a situation where we are early still, relatively speaking, in the technology. Picture 20 years from now, the technology may have evolved so well that they don't even have to work at making realistic human simulacrums of a classic actor. It'll be that classic actor as far as people are concerned. We're not quite there. We're still in the uncanny valley. So while we're able to work with the background, a planet's surface, a spacescape, you can kind of clarify some things. Maybe you can make a more crystal image out of a low-def television show. But we've not yet mastered the human image realistically. At least we haven't if we don't apply ourselves. And what we've seen is that so far the studios are not willing to make the investment and take the time to use AI for a person in a professional and responsible way. They're using it to cut corners, or using it to go too quickly. And here's the big drawback. Let's say you go into some Blu-rays and you decide you're going to make some AI corrections. Eventually, that Blu-ray version becomes the default physical media replacement of what went before. You do not want a substandard version to become the new default setting of that classic Doctor Who story, or of any classic story. I think that does a disservice to the legacy you're trying to preserve, and a disservice to the customers.
As with anything to do with AI, it can be good. However, I feel there's a lot of negative use of AI in general, but in Doctor Who specifically, I just don't want it going over the top. I don't want to see what happened to Star Wars, for example, where these are films where they've been so overly edited you can't even find the original versions anymore, for example.
Yeah.
Now, I do think when it comes to stuff that already exists, yes, fair enough, upgrade some of the special effects because we know a lot of it was, models, tinfoil and whatever else that had to be used because of budgets and the technology available at the time. I'm kind of all for it if they can get it to look correct. I don't want to see what some of the Ian Levine stuff where I found, like in the Macra Terror one he did, where you've got them dancing and it just doesn't represent what was actually there. If they can get it to look like it was supposed to look like, then fine, I'm all for it. It bridges those gaps. It'll never beat the real thing, but yeah.
What do we want from our Blu-rays? Because this is bottom line is we all had the DVDs, we all had the videos, and all the rest of it. And the Blu-ray collections to me seem to be this collection of PDFs, piles of material, loads of strange references, trailers, new documentaries, new extras, and they pile it all into this collection as if it's the final version. I've never in my head thought, but it has to be restored because I was happy with the DVD quality.
Well, here's what I want with the Blu-rays, in particular, Terror of the Zygons. Everyone's talking about the AI, but the thing that disappointed me slightly was the way they redid the Scarrison with the puppet. And I would have preferred to have the original available as well as an updated version with CGI special effects, because I like the special effects on most of the editions. And yeah, they were kind of trying to emulate the puppet, and I think I saw that they were trying to do that with the Merca as well. Although on the trailer the Merca looked great to me.
Yeah.
But so what I would like on the Blu-ray specifically, if they're going to do new special effects, is give us both versions, because like something like Star Wars, which kind of deleted all the originals and only had the special effects versions available, to have them both, I think is very important. And that was my biggest disappointment with Terror of the Zygons, was there's a love went into that, don't get me wrong, but I would have liked to have seen some CGI. I would have loved to have seen some CGI done on the Silurians as well, to try and update that, because I've seen some fan CGI that looks absolutely fantastic. If they could have done that professionally, it would have been wonderful to have that as part of the collection, but also have the original too.
Yeah. Jeremy, you were going to cut in there, I could see.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dilemma, because if you're a purist Doctor Who fan, you just say, I want it not messed around with. If a microphone boom comes into shot from wherever, somebody has to make that question. Somebody has to decide, do I edit that out? Do I, mask it with AI or whatever? Or do I leave it in? And, some fans will say, leave it in. I want to see it. It's part and parcel of the experience as I saw it back then 50 years ago. And some
even
say, no,
Sutek's third hand.
Exactly,
yeah.
Which of course they removed in the new version. Okay, well, yeah, because they were updating all the special effects, etc., etc. But someone somewhere has to make a decision about, what do we do here? Do we change it or not?
You see,
And
I think what's going on here, because like I said, I'm with Dwayne. I've not really spotted a lot of this really. I just see all the kind of warfare online. But is this getting conflated? Number one, with RTD, like that Instagram. But the other thing is what they did with the colorized, edited versions, for good or bad, they did alter what was originally made. And they said it was for a new audience. They said it's because tastes had changed. And so I just wonder, is this AI debate falling into the same area, which is, yeah, but why are you making the decision? Why do we need to lose the hand of Sutek, the hand of Freya? Why do we need to lose these? Why do we need that wobble of the set to change? Because we bought into the original. And I have to say, if you want to watch a 1960s episode, well, put it this way, if you watch Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon from the 1930s, do we want it all so heavily AI'd out so you don't see any wobbles and you don't see any wires and stuff like that? Or when do you actually then have changed it? And are there sensibilities of audiences now that we can't accept that things were different in TV then? I mean, I'm just trying to work it out, that's all.
Well, the annoying thing about the war games, for instance, was not the fact that it was colorized. It looked absolutely incredible in color. What was annoying was the fact that they changed the story so that they made the war chief the master and, you know, put in all those, changed all that final courtroom scene and put the regeneration in, which the regeneration itself was okay. But the courtroom scene with all the faces of the future doctors was, I didn't really enjoy that. But the colorization itself was great. And I think that's where we're at with special effects and changing slight things on the screen. I think that's where they're at. But my point is keep the original as well on there for the purists. Have everyone have those options.
Maybe there's an argument to be had that if they put the Blu-rays out, you know, with what I would call just digitally remastering without overlaying it too heavily with AI, and then release a standalone version in the future saying this is an all singing and dancing Warriors of the Deep Blu-ray special edition deluxe version, and we've overlaid it with tons of AI and we've changed all the special effects, fine, I can accept that. But it's when it's presented as the final version and the new audience that comes along saying, oh, this is okay, but they haven't seen the original, you know what I mean? So they're getting a different perception of Doctor Who, you know, as we know it, as we knew it, because they're trying to present it. This is just, this is a different program. No. We all know when it went out what it was like, but we still appreciated it when it went out the way it went out, you know.
Well, it's fascinating because we've only managed to watch Warriors of the Deep so far on the season 21 thing. We're way behind because of all doing all these shows and that. But I actually wrote to the lads from Northern Ireland who actually do the effects, the upgrades. They do it on the Blake 7 as well. And, you know, because I've met them and that, and they're good lads. And I said, I really like what you did with the Merca. Now, it's a moot point. I mean, and it's not AI, of course. It's a puppetry and effects in a different way. But I actually really liked it because I've wanted always to like the Warriors of the Deep. When I was at Longleat and they announced it and they said Sea Devils and Silurians, I remember Liz Sladen going, woo, in the tent. And I remember going, oh, this is like, you know, my top fantasy almost. And then when I saw it, it wasn't quite what I was wanting. And do you know, all these years later, how they've changed the Merca and how they've changed an awful lot of close-ups because Conor Flanagan and loads of the lads are in it as some of the extras and they've changed stuff. I actually think it's a watchable, decent story now. So in other words, yes, they've changed, Jeremy, what my experience was, but they've made me happier. It's a really complicated one, this.
The question is how far do you take it? You know, and somebody sat somewhere at BBC Studios or wherever says, we'll do it this way. You know, I just like the original. I don't like it messed around with.
Yeah.
And that's my concern because, you know, although I've got the old DVDs and I've got the original broadcasts, it's how far did somebody actually take this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's also like, you know, when they edit the music out because of copyright reasons, that irritates me as well.
Yes.
Because I just want to see it as is. I mean, obviously, if you've got a 16mm film print and there's flecks of dust or there's a hair in the gate, that could be digitally remastered and removed by hand. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But obviously, when that first went out, that's probably how it actually went out.
That's the biggest tragedy of Revelation of the Daleks. The original music went out where the DJ was Jimi Hendrix's Fire. And nothing that ever got released later, nothing in any of the physical media has ever been able to get the rights for the Hendrix version. Nothing has ever sounded as good as that off-air telecopy that I had years ago that I threw out. I wish I didn't, but it was heaps better than anything else that's come since.
Yeah, the same with Remembrance of the Daleks and the audio release of Evil of the Daleks because they didn't want to pay the copyright on the Beatles track. And so they said, right, we'll just edit it. No, just wait until the future that you can get, proper, copyright and you get it all sorted, then release it.
No, I was the same. For me, the Mr. Whippy thing in Five Doctors and some of those changes to Rassilon's voice, just it jars you when you know something that well. It's just like it hits you in the face. It's like, wow, this isn't how it's supposed to be. So I must admit, I was really happy when in the recent version they put it all back.
Yeah. I even like in the Five Doctors when they just had that it was a simple effect.
Parallelogram.
Yeah, where where the TARDIS is all separated at the end. And the original version I kind of always liked. The color of the TARDIS changed slightly and then it went that way. And then they've adapted it and I thought, no, I like the original. It was kind of almost sort of more authentic, but we're all funny little beasts as Doctor Who fans. So my last little question on this kind of generalized AI front is AI to bring back classic Doctors, AI to bring back characters that we can't properly bring back because the actor's gone. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, look, I think we're too young in its technology stage at the moment. It needs to be a lot more developed, maybe one day down the track, but not as it stands right now. Things have to improve quite a lot before we'd be able to do something like that. But I'd be for it, but not at the moment.
It's a lie. And I would always be asking, why do we need to do it? I mean, if you really love John Pertwee's portrayal of the Third Doctor, enjoy what he's made, but you can't manufacture anymore because he's not here,
I agree with that, but going back to the question of the quality aspect with using AI, season 7, I don't know about how you guys felt, but I mean, we're lucky to have season 7 in the state that it's in because of the episodes, how they got treated over the years, especially getting them back to color and things like that. But I mean, there was such variability in the quality of the footage on that collection box set, and I remember and I'm sure it was probably one of the boxes where they went, geez, I wish we had more tools in the arsenal to try and it's a box set that it really, I wish it had some AI on it, to be honest. It's very grainy and there's
Yeah, poor Ambassadors of Death suffers very badly from varying quality all the way through. Yeah. But I'm just glad we've got it, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I noticed on the Sea Devils, the episode 1, the 16mm film bit where they're on the boat, and the DVD looked okay, passable. But when I got to the Blu-ray, it was like as if it was snowing, because it sort of the AI or whatever the technology was, it brought out all the grains, as it were, the fuzz.
I don't think it had any that box set. I think that those early ones had no treatment.
But I thought it was going to be vastly improved. Well, going to be improved at least than the DVD. But it just looked very, very grainy on the 16mm.
And I think that's the problem. Most people haven't seen what the the product of the scans before anything was treated. So the earlier box sets, I think you get a good sense. I mean, you've only got so many lines, and we're literally trying to multiply it by 4 to get it up to an HD.
Well, I mean, level. This is the thing. If you've got top of the range television, HD, 4K, whatever, and your Blu-ray is top of the range, then obviously the quality is going to look better than it probably would be maybe on my television on my monitor, or on a cheap Blu-ray player. But I'll sit in judgment on that one.
So where do you guys stand on things, technology like vidfire. Do you guys have a problem with that?
I used to have a problem with it, and then I thought to myself, well, if it went out with a video as a video signal, then that's how it's got to be. But when I watch the old VHSs, it looks of a filmic quality. So I was quite happy with that. But obviously, when they've gone through the process of tidying into it, it looks obviously a lot better now.
Because that's the thing, we wouldn't have had film grain. I mean, obviously, except for the film inserts, but the video wouldn't have had film artifacts because
But you have to remember at the time when these episodes, 1960s episodes, were shown, they were watching them on 405 line, black and white, grainy televisions, so you couldn't pick up all the detail. And depending on how good your TV aerial was, the picture was subject to like ghosting or snow, or the line of the picture would keep going up. If you were watching it on an old valve set.
So, based on that, Jeremy, do you think the guys that are doing HD video captures of like AI artifacts that are like microscopic on a moving picture are getting a bit carried away with themselves?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the Blu-ray discs. I've not played any of them. I've got a lot of catching up to do. But what I have seen is the screenshots, and people have been complaining and saying, "Oh, this looks terrible." And I was looking at some of them. I thought, "What's the difference?" I couldn't quite see the difference. I mean, unless you've got, as I say, a soldier in the background that looks like he's got 2 hands stuck together or 6 fingers. Obviously that's wrong. But the only way you're going to notice that is if you get close up to the screen and have squint your eyes and look.
I saw an interesting one yesterday on X, where it was a screenshot from Frontios, and it's someone made the comment that this AI is so bad that it even took Mr. Ranger's spectacles off his face.
Right.
And then someone else came in later with a freeze frame from the original, and you can't tell the spectacles are there anyway. And I instantly thought to myself, well, it's an outside shot. He spends most of his time inside. I mean, outside as far as the story goes. Why does he necessarily have to have his spectacles on? People take their glasses on and off all the time. So we're getting a little bit too pedantic about everything.
Well, I would even argue if you were to try and look at a screenshot of video, it's interpolated, so you should have every second line theoretically missing. If you like the old freeze frame, when they used to do freeze frame in the 70s on the video. So the fact that you're even got a clean screenshot of a video frame, which doesn't exist, that in itself is an artifact. It's something that's generated.
It's what AI interprets. So, for instance, if somebody's got a very light moustache, and then AI looks at that and says, that shouldn't be there. So the moustache is gone in one scene. And then when they come closer up, obviously AI can see that person has a moustache and leaves it as it is. In terms of like Peter Davison's hair, when the camera gets close up, it looks like spaghetti.
Yeah. Oh, well, I did do
or he's wearing a wig, a bad wig. And that's not what we saw back then in 1983,
God knows what they'd make of Mordrin's head. I turned it into spaghetti, didn't I?
When did you last have the pleasure of eating a well-prepared meal?
Do you see a necessity for it? I'm trying to work out why we need the AI in any classic Who restoration job, because I can see they've changed the Rutan, but that's not AI. That's just, upgrading an effect. Do you see any need for it, or do you think there's a lazy way around? Do you think there's a cost-cutting exercise? What do you all think about the use of them in restoration of classic Who?
Good question. Does this speak to a broader issue that the Doctor Who brand is so damaged that they're trying to do a rush job on it? I mean, that's a concern that they're not doing it on the Blake 7, because they started the series 10 years ago, and granted, AI wasn't there at that time period. And from what I've heard, it was the classic box sets were the #1 selling for Doctor Who. is this speaking to a BBC issue or a Doctor Who issue that the brand is so damaged that money is being cut that they have to cut corners? So that that's where my conspiratorial mind goes. Is this, that that the brand has been so damaged that the BBC is not willing to put money on it. And I know the BBC is struggling in general because all of Hollywood and entertainment industry, US and UK, are struggling. That this is seen as a cost-cutting measure to try to get the almighty dollar as much as possible.
I mean, David, when it's done well, from when we've talked, even for when you do the snippets for my show, I mean, never mind your bloody 12-minute epics, for a fact it takes hundreds of hours, it feels like. Lots of redrafts, lots of redirections, and that's also called money. Now, I know some people think this is a cheap way of helping out the Blu-rays or something, but to me, AI isn't a cheap way at all.
AI is very, very cheap. Time-wise, it's how it was. If you get the correct result straight away, great. You've saved days and days of work. You've done it in a few minutes. But many times you have to redo it, wait for it to generate. Then you have to just check every scene is correct. And with AI, even now, even using the really expensive programs, you can still see little glitches in there. So I agree with what you said. I don't really think it's even needed at the moment. I don't see the point of having the AI in there. If you've got a missing scene, then you might want to use AI for that. But I don't see how it's actually needed. What's the point of having an original classic and then changing it, updating it? Just leave it as it is.
Yeah, I mean, we've all put up with the fact that a 1967 episode will look like a 1967 episode. I've never had this, we've got a gadget here that can smooth it over, do this. I've never thought like that. And actually, we've got Michelle on the panel who's a historian. I didn't think that's the way we should treat history. You're supposed to keep it authentic.
Generally, art restoration is you're not improving the art, you're protecting it. So there used to be a while in restoration and museums where you would try to get the item as close to mint as possible, meaning as close to when it was first made. Too many mistakes were being made, damage was being done. Now it's like, let us preserve it in stasis, meaning the item is not degrading. We keep it at the level it is. We try to prevent it from going even further, but we're going to keep it the way it is now. So you're going to have like the bloops and there's a big difference between, cleaning off dust, let's say on the original Wizard of Oz film, which they did in the 90s, 2000s, where they cleaned the dust off of it. And removing impurities versus completely altering a scene or altering. I know some of the criticism has been that they're removing like one of the characters' glasses.
Well, I was just thinking, anyone remember the Monkey Redeemer, the badly done restoration of a Christ painting or fresco, and basically the consequence was you had a simian instead of a person. The poor woman who was trying to preserve it obviously didn't know what she was doing.
Right.
But I almost feel like if you go back to these classic properties and you attempt to doctor them, you're changing it. Yeah. I prefer the pure history of it because the context, it also applies to the era in which it was derived. And the only time you should have to add something on top of that, AI-wise, is if it's a case of replacing something that was gone completely.
Right.
Otherwise, try and preserve as much as possible with what's there. Now, I did share with Brendan earlier, it would be interesting if in releases in the future, there's a little toggle switch. Do you want the AI enhancements? Do you want the original version? Make it the choice of the consumer what version they want. And as a matter of fact, you may get feedback from the audience saying, gosh, everyone's buying these devices. No one is choosing to play them with the AI enhancement. We've tried it for 3 different seasons of Doctor Who. Let's go ahead and just omit it. It's been an experiment. It didn't work. We know that they want the classic interpretation of it, not the AI enhanced versions. It's a way of learning.
There's an element with the classic Doctor Who visually that people are going back to vinyl, and people like the authenticity of the vinyl, but they also sometimes like the imperfection of vinyl, that basically you get a bit of the crackle here and there. It's just as it is. And it gives somebody a nice, decent vibe, rather than why are we seeking perfection and, oh, all these blemishes need to be taken out. Sometimes the blemishes are the story. And I just think, you know,
like
for
the
example,
Hannah Sutek, that's supposed to be there because that was part of the story. I mean, there's a big difference of running a film or a VHS and cleaning the dirt off because that's going to degrade the actual copy versus going in there and fixing the bloopers.
Well, the other thing is, yeah, I mean, AI is doing the very same thing, really. I mean, for example, if William Hartnell fluffs a line, is part of the restoration that we should just take that bit out? Well, no, because that's the story.
Yeah, you're doing is you're going to preserve it, like as I'm saying, like the Wizard of Oz one. The Wizard of Oz original film was getting so degraded because it has so much dirt on it. They went in there in the early MGM went and they ran scene by scene where they, you know, carefully cleaned it down. They didn't fix the imperfections, but they cleaned the dust off of it to keep it from deteriorating even further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Wizard of Oz, the original run of Wizard of Oz was almost lost because it was so degraded. And so they had to run scene by scene. And they remember they're showing, like, you know, here is a speck of dust on Judy Garland's eyelash. And they're pulling it off because if not, they would have lost the
Yeah. I
so
mean,
that is preserving it and keeping it in a good condition versus going in there and fixing the flying monkey or something.
so what about using it in the show? I show, obviously, RTD, whether he's teasing us, saying, I'd love to see CGI, AI versions of classic Doctors who are no longer around. Number one, I always say to myself, why? Just because you can, you shouldn't. Just because there's a button you can press doesn't mean you should. I actually don't think, let's be honest, if you can bring back a Patrick Troughton Doctor in AI, it's never going to be like the original. You can try all you blooming well want, but you're not going to. So I actually say, no, it's a non-runner. And then what purpose is it serving? So when we come to the use of AI in the show, what are you thinking, David? Because you are actually playing around with AI all the time. I mean, you must be thinking,
I've just self-promotioning. I've just finished my stories of Rose, AI Rose Adventures, which brought back loads of Doctors, whatnot, for just a bit of fun, just a bit of nostalgia. I'm now going to start. Thank you. I'm now going to start AI Adventures of Doctor Who, which is Peter Capaldi. I've already released a teaser trailer for it. And you say about seeing Patrick Troughton in AI, it won't be the same, but there's an audience for it. And some people want to see it. If anything, escapism from the absolute crap we've had so far in the last 10 years now. So it's there. It could be done. You've heard with the voices that I put on there. They are literally the voices, and then you can get them to say anything. You can get them to say it in any accent, in any speed. You can get them to be happy, sad, scared, frightened, ecstatic. And this is still in its infancy, and it's still very good now.
I mean,
it's only going to get better.
Here's a good example.
That was one of the worst programs I've ever seen. I need to cleanse my palate and watch the Sense Sphere. That Brendan really knows his stuff.
So, I mean, there's an example. I mean, it's so true. But I don't mind it as a joke. You say, obviously, you're doing it for entertainment and fun on your channel. But for the real show, what do you think, Christian?
I tend to edge away from trying to, quote, recreate classic artists, but I think we're going down that road. You pointed out a word that I value, and it's authenticity. And I want to believe that fans and conventional viewers, new viewers, will value that and will prefer that. But maybe society is moving in a direction where an incoming generation, let's say 50 years from now, no one is around who was around for classic or even new Who or postmodern Who that we've been bemoaning. And for them, it's all the same. So maybe they won't make those distinctions, but I want to believe that the quality inherent in the original incarnations of these seasonal runs, these actors, these performances will stand the test of time, and people will see them as authentic and therefore will have more value than an AI version trying to be substituted. I think I heard recently today that there was going to be a Val Kilmer film, AI Val Kilmer, coming out, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, the guy's dead, but they're going to go ahead and tap his likeness and try and build a film off of that. So we're already starting down that road.
It's on the Val Kilmer story, he was actually cast in that movie before he died. He was too sick to film it, and so his daughter has given permission for it to be done. But again, Cole goes on the whole ethical, using of AI.
Yeah, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
But this is it. If we're challenging possibly AI recreations of classic doctors as an example, have we accepted, and therefore we're inconsistent, we've accepted David Bradley as the first Doctor, Richard Herndl as the first Doctor, Reece Shearsmith as the second Doctor for a second in the drama. If we allow that, then surely we allow AI that is actually more like the likeness than David Bradley would be.
But they weren't in huge seasons, were they? They were just in stories, so they were just filling the gaps. I suppose.
And they're still a living, breathing actor making artistic choices. It's there's a person behind it versus the Uncanny Valley of having something being pixels being a person.
Oh, I tend to agree with Michelle. It is interesting when I was thinking of Bradley trying to catch a lot of the personality of Hartnell. I could see the effort that went into it. And actually, I have a great degree of respect for that, because if they're able to try and recapture that magic through their own physical performances, I'm willing to suspend disbelief and immerse myself in the story. I can see the value in what they're trying to accomplish. But let's say you wanted to do wholesale 10 episodes of Hartnell, AI version, I would probably have some problems with that.
Because you're not going to capture his flubs correctly, because that was an actor through either health or whatever, or personality, where he just flubbed, and you never knew where he's going to flub. You can't structure that in correctly.
And I was showing clips earlier of that we've just seen for the first time, where Hartnell is looking very formidable, very strong, very this. And not everyone is something I've seen before in Hartnell. I've seen versions of. So in other words, you feed the AI with what you want to a degree. And so we will never get the original
Not even Hartnell
Hartnell.
could do Hartnell. You never knew what Hartnell you're going to get from the stories of just who he was. He was this unique individual that even Hartnell couldn't do Hartnell.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. And then I have to come to the question, why do Doctor Who fans want classic doctors who are no longer around to be reconstructed in a way that can never be acceptable? It's a nod to nostalgia. It's a nod to sentimentalism. It's fan fiction, as some call it. And it's in many ways very, very unnecessary.
I would add, why are they hungering for that? Because look at what we've got in the last 10 years. I think all of us know why.
There's a nostalgia that we wish we were there in 63. We wish we were there in 73. We wish we were there in 83 and 84 to see this for the first time, because our itch isn't being scratched.
Yeah.
Well, there's a doctor for that. No, but
and an ointment, I'm sure.
Yeah. But there is another thing though, that human nature now, and this I'm going to sound deep, but it's just the way we are. We have to learn that things have gone. One of the beauties of Doctor Who was that you had to get used to the farewell of a companion. You had to get used to a new doctor. You had to just get used to it. Get over it, in other words. Grow up. If I want John Pertwee, sorry, mate, it's Tom Baker now. Get over it. But we seem to be in a world now where, we could just maybe get Tom Baker back in AI. We could do this. We could do... Well, no, you're not. You're not. The custodian, the curator, sorry, in the Day of the Doctor, was a lovely moment of seeing a very old Fourth Doctor, but it wasn't the Fourth Doctor as we, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at least he was authentic and the real actor. But the point is now, if some of these actors aren't around, why bother doing all this crud?
Yeah. Well, it's bad enough that sometimes some of the actors aren't even in the room now when they're filming the scenes where they're talking to each other. I mean, that's bad enough.
I mean,
I hear that about the latest Endgame movie.
Most of the cameos from the Jodie Whittaker last episode,
Doomsday.
they weren't even in the same room together.
I mean, Garbage, I'm not having a go, the AI we do. But what I'm saying is we're fulfilling a different type of thing. I'm just trying to do a quick, cheap joke. You're trying to really entertain and actually show a proper storyline. But I'm still not sure why we are going down this road of not trying to come up with, overall, in drama, come up with new material and find a new actor.
Agree totally. I suppose if you think of school reunion, was it school reunion?
Yeah.
Yeah, school reunion. Yeah.
When we had Sarah Jane back, everyone loved it. 90% loved it, and that's what people think of when they see, we've got nostalgia, we've got Sarah Jane back, and in our minds we think, we want Paul McGann, we want to see all the Doctors again, but like all we're getting now is Tennant. We're getting Tennant back again, and literally in the past week, Tennant back again. Last year, Red Rose back again. These are not what we want. We want to see good things coming back as a one-off, as a nice surprise.
Yeah,
not continuously.
I was about to say the general rule should have been, and no one follows it necessarily, but the general rule should be a previous Doctor has a single shot at one return story X number of years after their initial departure. It's nice to have that revisitation, but it should be a hard rule that they don't keep coming back again and again and again. It actually weakens the value of those stories. But again, today, why do we keep hearkening back to something else? It's because we're not getting anything good now.
Yeah.
The problem is even the nostalgia that they're trying to recreate is substandard. And this is where we come to AI trying to fill in gaps and bring back some of the nostalgia and make it slightly more palatable, because they're struggling to produce something new, original, but true to what went before and qualitatively better than we've gotten in the last 20 years. That seems to be beyond their capacity. For example, they might suggest that we can't do anything like scaring the children. Goodness knows we don't want children.
We had that stream the other day, didn't we?
Well, one of my favorite terms is currently we are culturally bankrupt. Looking for those for our American viewers, what passed for the Academy Awards this last week of what is being nominated, and the fact is that there's some comments, commentary is like, was Sinners actually a good movie, or what we had seen so much crap for so many years that a substandard film, it was seen as better. Like, let's bring back Grogu from Star Wars. Let's just throw out another Star Wars sloppy movie just because people like Baby Yoda 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that was our kind of a cheer up for everyone. No, I was aware this was. I mean, I have my detox. This is like our Doctor Who therapy. I could see the fans were going mad, and it's my eyesight. When I'm looking at these Blu-rays, I'm not seeing much problem, but I'm then seeing photographs and going, "Oh, that looks a bit problematic."
Especially when
Maybe
you
I'm
do
just
like this, when you're doing screenshot. I mean, and especially, and it's still a technology. Can we fix or don't fix when an actor blinks or something? You're going to have, the blink. You're going to have a weird face or something, especially if you're going frame by frame.
Plus, I have a concern with humanity overall wanting to create perfection. We need to stop that. Just leave it and go and do something else. The AI to cover some cracks, like you said, in the set to try and tidy up. The trouble is, I see criticisms, and like I said, my eyesight is not managing it, but people are saying, but it makes it look waxy, or it just makes it look softer. And some people are saying they'd prefer the DVDs because they're actually sharper than this, which surely can't be the right effect.
Well, as we've seen with AI in general, you've seen it even when Garbage does his clips for yourself. You'll have Jamie looks like Jamie in a clip, and then suddenly he doesn't look like Jamie anymore, and you think, who's he turned into now? Or Ben turned into someone different on that War Machines one that was made. Now, like you said about the sort of the texturing and the layers and what have you, it sort of takes it away from what you originally saw and knew. And I think they need to have a good hard look and go. It's almost like they need to put strict guidelines in place. That's my initial feeling.
But it says, like, I'm trying to think, why do you need AI at all? The AI effect, why are we needing it? I'm not quite sure. I've seen some bits from the Daleks one. My source, when he says, "God, it looks bad," and he says, "You want to see the Dalek trailer?" I haven't yet, but he's a media producer and he's going mad about it. He really does think it's terrible. And so some people are resisting buying the Blu-rays now. And that's the terrible effect when you see all the extras and you think, oh, for doing that. And then people talk about VidI Fire, and there's other ways you can do it. I thought we were just getting a catalogue of extras and great stuff and interviews in the Blu-rays. I didn't realize we needed to do this tarting up effect, the Stepford Wives effect.
I think that if you go back to when the DVD range was initially, they had the options. I think the first one that I recall it on was maybe the Ark in Space, where you had the option to watch with the new special effects, or you could watch it with the old. Now, I'm all for sort of giving things a go. If, like I said, if there's some sort of guidelines that followed to it and it's got approval from, it needs to sort of be signed off, in my opinion. And if you have the option to watch the original still, then yeah, that's good. And then you can then watch with the new effects as well, or whatever they're doing with them. I don't want it to be overkill. I think if it becomes overkill, then they become reliant on it, and I think then you get an inconsistency with the Blu-ray range, because when the Blu-ray range was first sort of initially released, I can't remember which was the first one, but you then start having an inconsistency from whatever was first up into what they're doing now, and I just don't. I'm all about consistency.
And it's a bit like the argument about CGI to me. And you mentioned Star Wars, that we all like a model shot that's a real model shot, because it just seems to look more kind of vivid and authentic. And the CGI doesn't really kid on, and actually ages very badly. And I just think AI is kind of doing the same thing. And it does seem to be doing this Americanization where basically, every woman wants to look as though they've got Botox and all the rest of it. And you're thinking, why are we doing that to Peter Davison? Why are we doing that to these? And it's like a side effect. And I'm thinking, no, I just want to see Doctor Who as sharp as you can. But actually, it's not sharpening it. And you're actually making it look less real, actually.
Well, that's the problem again, is we already have this footage. It exists. Why are you mucking around with it? Like it was fine back then. We bought it as it was. I know they're trying to expand revenues, but that's not going to make me want to buy it. I don't know about yourself, but
yeah,
the only time I think I would invest into this sort of stuff is, like I said, if they were bridging the gaps by using it for the missing episodes instead of animating them, I think that would be the only time that it would sort of be a seller for me. You know, why not try it with an episode we know we're not going to ever get back, like A Feast of Stephen would be a good example. It's harmless. You know, we have telesnaps. They can sort of do what they can with it. Give it a go.
What's the intention? And so, and does the effect get anywhere near it? And actually, and the side effect, like you say, of electricity and everything, you think, is it worth it?